The $1,000,000 Mirage. The brutal 1987 Caesars Palace jackpot. Las Vegas Strip, 1987. At the absolute peak of that neon-lit era, Caesar's Palace ruled like an absolute emperor. Amidst the deafening clinking of coins and the thick tension in the air, a young man walked in, almost as if under a spell. His name was Kirk Brian Johnson. He was just 19 years old. As the young man strolled casually through the casino, his eyes caught a massive slot machine. Flashing on the display overhead was a number that mesmerized everyone walking by. $1 million. $1 million. A fortune most people could never hope to touch in. A lifetime was dancing right before his eyes. Fueled by curiosity and a sudden impulse, the teenager pulled a $20 bill from his pocket and exchanged it for $1 tokens. Back then, slot machines weren't the cold, sterile touchscreens we see today. They were heavy, analog beasts. You had to feed in those thick metal tokens and pull down a heavy iron lever with all your strength. Dropping and scooping those tokens would constantly leave black, grease, and metallic residue all over your hands. It was a common sight to see seasoned players wearing white cotton gloves just to play. The young man followed suit, staining his hands with that black residue as he slid the cold tokens into the slot, one by one. The clank of the coins dropping down and the heavy vibration of the reels spinning. Every time he pulled the lever made his heart race. He watched his tokens dwindle away until only about half of his $20 remained. And then, with no expectations at all, he pulled the lever one more time. Suddenly, the air in the casino froze. Clunk, clunk, clunk. The moment the symbols on the reels lined up perfectly, the siren on top of the machine spun into a frenzy, blasting brilliant, blinding lights in every direction. The $1 million jackpot had just hit. In an instant, a massive crowd swarmed around the teenager like a tidal wave. Cheers and thunderous applause erupted from every corner. Surrounded by a deafening roar of celebration, the 19-year-old stood there, utterly dazed, feeling as though he had suddenly become the center of the universe. Just then, parting the crowd, a slot supervisor and a casino manager marched in with a look of gravity, flanked by hulking security guards. They approached the young man with broad smiles, offered a firm handshake, and delivered their congratulations. Then came the standard procedure. "Congratulations. May we see your ID, please?" But that radiant joy vanished in a single, cruel second. The age on the ID he handed over was just 19. Under Nevada law, you had to be at least 21 years old to legally gamble. In a heartbeat, the atmosphere from Caesar's Palace turned ice cold. They flatly declared this was illegal gambling in violation of state law, and we have no obligation to pay out the jackpot. Just like that, they froze the $1 million right before his eyes. Backed into a corner, Johnson and his family launched a massive legal battle against the casino. Their argument in court was a sharp accusation that pierced right through the casino's double standards. The casino kept its eyes shut and gladly pocketed a miner's money whenever he was losing. So why is it that only when he wins, you suddenly bring up his age and refuse to pay? This is blatant hypocrisy and completely unfair. While the lawsuit caught the intense gaze of the entire nation, the scales of justice were unforgiving. The Nevada Gaming Control Board and the courts ultimately ruled in favor of the casino. Under Nevada law, gambling by a minor is considered void from the beginning. Therefore, any contract resulting from that illegal act, including a jackpot payout, holds absolutely no legal weight. In the end, the 19-year-old youth had to turn his back on those brilliant, blinding lights of the $1 million dream, walking out of the casino empty-handed, without a single cent. Was that lever the young man pulled that day a blessing or a curse? if he had never opened the doors to Caesar's palace that day? What if he had just kept that $20 bill in his pocket? As humans, we all live with a heavy chest full of what-ifs. But the sheer sense of loss this teenager felt holding the ultimate stroke of cosmic luck in his hands at 19, only to have it ripped away in an instant, is beyond imagination. The rage and absolute emptiness he experienced that day likely remained an eternal scar, binding his soul for the rest of his life. We often like to believe we can master fortune, but this brutal jackpot story whispers a somber truth to us all. Lurking just behind the luck we think we can grasp lies a cold, unyielding trap made of human rules. Inside that massive mirage built on human greed, the young man didn't walk away with $1 million. Instead, he paid the heaviest tuition possible for a lesson in the cold reality of life. For the price of briefly holding what he could never keep, the world showed this 19-year-old boy its frozen, unforgiving face far too soon. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes, based on documented public court records and historical events from 1987. Thank you for watching.